being honest, I work for this shit. I'm usually modest, but this beat lit, so I'm going off thoughtless, talking my shit. Yeah, I'ma be the hottest designer in drip. I'm just coming with the rawness. I gotta admit that I'm usually modest, but I work hard for my shit. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So keep working till it's hurting, cause that's when you start deserving everything you want, everything you need. Trust the process, yeah, you got this. Keep on working till you bleed. Yeah, I've been there, yeah, I've done that. 10 long years of breaking my back, but now I'm up here, never looking back. I got more dreams that I wanna go attack. Keep on going, keep on moving, never give up. I'll keep going, I can prove just what I'm made of. I got that fire in me, got that desire in me. I'm never tired, I'll be pushing till I'm finally free. I was made to break away from the pack, to challenge, to fight, and to carve my own path. This world wasn't made for the weak, they don't last. Survival of the fittest, so be vicious and attack. I'm the type to make commas, turn a profit. I'm the boss, Willy Wonka, but it ain't chocolate. Yeah, I'm just being honest, I work for this shit. I'm usually modest, but the speed lit, so I'm going off thoughtless, talking my shit. Yeah, I'ma be the hottest designer in drip. I'm just coming with the rawness. I gotta admit that I'm usually modest, but I work hard for my shit. I like to get paid, that's why I work every day. I'll be making money till I'm in my grave. Don't care what they say, I'll buy time with my money. Laughing to the bank cause it's funny. The money keep coming, I manifest it. Sing these lyrics and you'll get it. I'm the bank, come invest it. I get tracked and I have it. Money finds me attractive. I'm the type to make commas, turn a profit. I'm the boss, Willy Wonka, but it ain't chocolate. Yeah, I'm just being honest, I work for this shit. I'm usually modest, but this beat lit, so I'm going off thoughtless, talking my shit. Yeah, I'ma be the hottest designer in drip. I'm just coming with the rawness. I gotta admit that I'm usually modest, but I work hard for my shit. I'll do the work, yeah, I'll do it till it hurts. I'll invest in my future, I'll invest in the purse. I wanna be so rich, life changes, and I don't ever think about how much I just pay it. Yeah, it's a dream, the American dream. Live on top, don't stop till you got everything. But there's balance, cause this life is a challenge. You gotta live in the now while building up the talent. I'm the type to make commas, turn a profit. I'm the boss, Willy Wonka, but it ain't chocolate. Yeah, I'm just being honest, I work for this shit. I'm usually modest, but the speed lit, so I'm going off thoughtless, talking my shit. Yeah, I'ma be the hottest designer in drip. I'm just coming with the rawness. I gotta admit.
Hello and welcome to the Marko Yamashita Show. I am your host, Marko Yamashita. Thank you so much for being with me here. If you have already transitioned from 2023 to 2024, I wish you a very, very Merry Christmas, belated, and Happy New Year for 2024. If you are watching and we still haven't transitioned yet, I do want to wish everybody a safe and positive new year. I know that 2023 has had some ups and downs. 2022 was definitely something that we could rather forget on certain topics. But we can start off 2024 with a positive attitude, and hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully we don't have too many tragedies that like what we had in 2023. Needless to say, that was something that I personally did not expect to have, not only with myself but also with Pikami and everything else. And it's kind of weird in retrospect to look at 2023 and realize that the whole pick-a-me incident with Hogwarts Legacy transpired just after the new year. But I am at least hopeful and optimistic that with everything else that is going on, that we perhaps, maybe, hopefully, surely will have some positive momentum going forward into 2024. That I am able to make it back full-time into being a full-time streamer, and hopefully grow the channel just a little bit. If there is any type of acclamation for me to or goal to set. Now, I've always said that for my channel itself and for streaming, that I did not set out to be a popular streamer. That said, I've always said that I wanted to create a safe and inclusive environment on my channel where we could all play games, some that are popular, some that aren't popular, so maybe some that are in my backlog, a lot that are in my backlog, and have some fun playing those games, reminiscing about them or trying them out as they come out. Now 2024 is starting off a little slow, but there are going to be a few games that come out in the next couple of months that I do want to try and I do want to play. There's been several games that have been added to the Microsoft Game Pass library that are now available to me that I found interesting. I'm kind of glad that we did not do Alan Wake 2 as it came out, considering that the very beginning part has a man that is hanging loose, if you catch my drift. That was definitely something I did not expect to see right from the get-go. And according to different analytics, what Alan Wake 2 did underperform, but honestly, I've only played a couple hours of Alan Wake 2 just to see what it was like, and also test out my computer against the software, and it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. We never did finish Alan Wake 1 on my channel. However, I am probably about 60% through Alan Wake 1, and I find the entire storyline intriguing. So I do want, at some point, to finish that either on stream or off stream, and then also go through Alan Wake 2, since I did pay for it, so I would like to play it. But in addition, there's lots of games that are coming out in 2024 I want to play, and I'm always, you're always going to have a backlog of games that you do want to hit up at some point, and some of my old standbys that I really would enjoy playing, even more is Phasmo and a lot of those other games that, are just, streamer games in the, best sense of the word. But I do want to touch a little bit about what has been happening with myself. I am not completely 100% back into the groove, since I did take a month off to take care of my mental health. However, as I've stated in text format, both on X and on my community page, I have been working very hard with two separate doctors to improve my mental health and stability, so I don't have any more episodes, or episodes that I have been struggling with. I'm not gonna lie and act like a tough person and say, oh yeah, that was just a temporary thing and now everything's better, because honestly it's not. But I am taking steps in order to get to that point, and it's a long process when you are dealing with things like what I'm dealing with, mental, with persistent depressive disorder and PTSD, those types of things. They're very hard topics to talk about and work through. But still, I do want to say that I don't want to run from it. I don't want to hide from it, and I do want to face those things head on. So I can hopefully overcome them, or at least have the mental capacity to deal with them as problems come up. So those are definitely things that I have worked very hard on for the past month. It's not like an illness where you get sick and then now you're better, but it is a process. Hey, Happy New Year! Welcome, welcome, welcome. I appreciate you dropping in. I've been gone for almost a month now. Actually, a little bit more than a month. So I'm glad to see some new people coming in and return people that are coming in. Thank you so much for dropping in. I hope you have a great 2024. I do also want to kind of retrace my steps with what has happened to me on my countrywide trip that I took. I'm not going to state where I was flying to and where I was flying from, but I did have to go through the Minneapolis airport in the United States. And let me tell you that despite that airport being a huge airport to begin with, it was extremely crowded. I mean, I have never seen so many people traveling in my entire life. When I decided that I was going to go face a few of my demons, with one being my mother's passing, and two, to visit my father, because I needed to know that he was doing well, and that was one of the main stressors that I had. So I had to go through the Minneapolis airport. I ended up waiting like 3.5 hours on a layover before I was able to make my connection flight. Not gonna lie, people know you for creating drama. Well, let me just say this. First, any drama that I have caused, I own. And any drama that I've been a part of, I also own. And whatever I said or whatever may have transpired, it came from the heart. And I mean every word. I've made a lot of people extremely mad in 2023. I've made a lot of people hate me in 2023. However, those things are either because they have taken an opposing side and did not want to believe what I was saying, or they have a differing opinion from what my perspective is, and that's fine. I've always said that my channel is, it's an open door. You can walk in, you can walk out. You don't have to stay. I am not the type of person who's gonna sit here and beg and plead and then come on a stream and crying my brains out and saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean everything that I said." When I did actually mean anything and everything that I've said. I own what I say. I'm not gonna be that person, because I'm not gonna sacrifice my opinions, my standards, and my position on any topic just for subscribers and likes and views. yeah, life does suck. I'm gonna say it. And once I get through my entire Christmas saga, you're gonna see why. You know, I man, my trip was so busted that it doesn't even. I mean, you could actually make some kind of either like, comedy movie about it, or even kind of a bit of a tragedy movie about it. There's that movie on I think it's either it's on one of the streaming platforms. The movie about Odo, an old guy who, everyone kind of misunderstands what he is or what he's all about. And then, a few people take the time and effort to try to figure out, what makes that guy tick? Why does he act like that? And then he ends up being loved by a few people, but disliked and hated by a lot. And I'm really glad that Mel from Hololive did a watch along on that movie, because I saw a lot of myself. A Man Called Odo, 2020 and 2023. I saw a lot of myself in that guy. Did you have you watched Hololive Shuffle Melody with clothes swapping? I have not. And I'll be truthful with you. I only got back 2 days ago, so I am extremely behind on everything. I spent a lot of time with my father over these last couple of weeks. I spent a lot of time at my mother's grave. I spent it felt like hours, but the entire time I was there probably was less than 40 minutes, but I spent a good 20 minutes just on my knees crying at her grave, because it didn't feel real that she was actually gone until I went back and she was actually interred with her tombstone up and everything else. But my father and I spent about 40 minutes at her grave on Christmas, because we wanted the family to be together. And then, my father and I had a real heart-to-heart talk about a lot of that stuff that had been affecting me. Am I single? Yes, I am single. What is? Yeah. Is my dad single? Yes, my dad is also single. So both of us are single. And what the heck? Why did all my stuff get squished together? Let me move myself down so I'm not blocking my chat. I did not even see that. There we go. Much better. Actually, let's just move myself in the center for right now. It's a custom to ask that. Yeah. Well, and I don't mind, people asking that stuff about, my father and myself. We're both single. My dad has taken the stance that no one will be able to fill that void that my mother had, and he's not ready to date anybody or see anybody, and he doesn't want anyone to complicate matters with him, considering his age as well, because those types of if he meets somebody and then marries them, for example, because they get close, that will complicate the way things will happen, what he wants to leave behind, because he'll have a wife that he needs to take care of, and then wanting to ensure that I'm stable, and I'm able to pay for all of his stuff, and the way he wants to be buried and all that other stuff. That's kind of like why he wants to stay single, because he's given me all the instructions and exactly how he wants it, per our customs and our beliefs and everything else. So it's kind of one of those things where, we didn't really talk about that stuff until I went down this past time. And because of, being able to finally start bringing closure for me about my mother, he felt it was time to tell me exactly what he wants, how he's doing. He spent a great deal of time just kind of showing me, that he is taking care of himself. He can be self-reliant. He has things set up the way he wants. He has enough financial stability to take care of himself, that he's not eating dog food for because he can't afford regular food, stuff like that. So he's doing really well for himself. Me personally, I think he has some things where perhaps mentally he is not, he's still struggling with a few things, because he spent over 60 years with my mother. They were together from high school. So one of those things where he's lived a big life. So truth be told, I made 2 YouTube accounts. Oh, that's perfectly fine that you have 2 YouTube accounts. That's perfectly fine. So, but we spent a lot of time together. He lives in the southern region of the United States. So, I got to have authentic Mexican food that I haven't eaten in gosh, decades. But the actual fun part was on the way. Actually, the turmoil in my trip happened on the way home, because in the northern part of the United States, when I was flying back, they had an ice storm go through. All right, and some places, especially like where I lived, they got over half an inch of solid ice that formed, and knocked down electrical, wires. Roads were closed, highways, interstates were closed, all sorts of, and it was really nasty out, right? So my plane ended up getting delayed, and I had to take a different flight, but my flight didn't leave for a few days. So I was able to at least get home, but on my way back from after leaving my father, somewhere along the line I lost my wallet. And I don't know how I lost my wallet. I don't know, exactly when I lost my wallet, but I lost my wallet that, had, driver's license, identification, concealed weapons, permit, credit cards, money, I had a lot of stuff in my wallet that just, all of a sudden I did not have, right? It's okay, you're old. Hey, I mean, I may be old, but it's not that, I like, took it out and laid it down somewhere and then like forgot about it, somewhere. And I think what ended up happening was, I was freaking out about it, right? Because like I said, I all my identification except except for on my trip, I did have my passport with me, so at least I had identification, right? So if somebody said who are you, can you prove it, I did have I did at least have government documents of who I was, right? But you get to the airport and you want to go to your get in your car and leave. Since I had my car in long-term parking, I needed to pay for it, right? Well, in order for me to pay for it, I needed my wallet. So I had to go. I went to the airport operations because my former company actually did business with the international airport that I flew into, and I talked to the administrative personnel there, and I said, look, I just got back. This is where I came from. And my wallet is gone. From my perspective, since you have to go through security when you board an airplane. It could have lost it anywhere from the time that I went through security all the way till the time I landed. So they said, well, we can do credit card by phone, but you need to have a credit card number to give us. And I was like, well, I do have a couple of my credit card numbers memorized, so at least I could do that. So I went to my car. Yeah, security looks sus, right? Well, I'll tell you about that in a second. So I went to go to my car, right? But remember, an ice storm had just gone through the area, and the area that I live is, this time of year, it is always below freezing. So, it's not like the ice can just suddenly melt and then everything be fine. So I walk out of the airport. I take about 5 steps after just freaking out, finding out, realizing I don't have my wallet. And I slip and I fall on the ice, right? Now, you got to remember, I'm someone who has had 5 different back surgeries on my back, with a fusion, a plate, pins, all that. I've had 5 surgeries on my back. And for me, it's like slip and fall on the ice, and I land, straight on my tailbone and my back. I mean, it hurt more than a regular person would get hurt, right? And I couldn't stand up because I also tweaked my right knee in the process of slipping, and so I'm just laying there, and I'm just I'm like, okay, how am I going to get up? How am I going to get to my car? This has been the worst day of my life, And then, 2 guys come over, and they're like, bro, you all right, man? You all right? That was one hell of a wipeout, man. Oh, you should have seen it. I'm like, see it? I freaking felt it, man. I'm like, can you give a brother a hand, So, they helped me back up. No, I'm left. Yeah. So they helped me up, and then I finally get to my car, and they helped me and walked me to my car and everything, and I get to my car, and my car is covered with about like a 1/4 inch of ice from top to bottom, right? And you're trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to actually get into my car? Because my entire car is encased in ice. And so, I had, I took what I had out of my suitcase, and I'm sitting here chipping away at trying to get one of my doors open into my car. And I finally get the driver door open. And so I go in and I go to use those Minecraft skills. Yeah, exactly. So I get into my car and I go to turn the engine over. Battery's dead. And I'm like, can this get any worse? So, I'm sitting here, I had just, wiped out on the ice. My back is freaking killing me. I just want to go home. My car battery is dead. And my wallet and my driver's license is gone and disappeared anyways. So I'm gonna be driving without a license in a car that won't start, and I can't even, I don't even know if when I get to the gate they're gonna believe me enough to let me pay by telling them my credit card number so they can type it in manually. So I call airport security, and I tell them what's going on. And they're like, okay, all right, just stay by your car. We'll come jump your car, and stuff like that. So they come over, and then we're trying to get the hood open on my car, and we're trying to chip away at the ice with just with car scrapers and credit cards and everything, trying to get my car, my hood up so they could get to the battery. And they do get to the battery, and then and then my luckily my car turned over once they jumped me, right? You'll be like, hello, please. Yeah, exactly. I am like scared to death right now because I still don't have my, I can't get a new driver's license until later on this week. So, because you have to schedule an appointment for it, just to replace it. And luckily, I still have my social security card, my visa, or not my visa, my passport, and all that, so I can show them, so I can get my card replaced. But I pull up, and I explain to the guy at the gate what's going on. He's like, okay, all right, just tell me the card number and stuff like that. And he wasn't believing me that I had it memorized, but I gave him the number and he ran it through, and it went through, and he's like, "Oh, okay, well, you're good, man. Just go ahead and drive safe." So I get home, and I ended up contacting every airport that I went through, saying, "Hey, I don't know where my wallet is. I don't know if it got stolen. If security took it. Because I have a medical implant in my back. Yeah, I have it memorized." Calvin, Happy New Year to you too. I have not had a chance to look at any news, VTuber news. I was saying a little earlier, I only got back a couple of days ago, so I haven't had a chance to actually go through all the news. But I kind of, just switching topics just briefly, I did figure, I did have a feeling that she was going to quit after she started getting, she started paying her Mika and Nico account more attention, and she was doing a lot more with that account. She had been more active. I haven't tried to reach out to her or talk to her personally or anything, but I did have a feeling that she wanted to focus more on her brand versus wanting to be a part of a different brand. Yeah, exactly. She has a contract with a voice actress agency with her Mika and Nico account. Plus, she also has, like I said, she had been pushing a lot more activity with her Mika and Nico account, and she seems very happy when she is on the account and doing things. So I kind of had a feeling that she tried to join Vizojo for not just to keep relevant, but also to, because there were a few people over there that really liked her, and she knew personally, or she had contact with. However, if you kind of notice, she kind of almost felt like, she needed that kind of little comfort of having an agency, tied to her name. But with me, her Miki and Nico account, she's contracted with them directly. She's, likely negotiated everything directly with her lawyer, and drawn up a contract. So she still owns her identity, and is just part of that voice talent agency that she had joined. And she's also done some collaboration, I believe, with other people. With her Miki Nico account. Yeah, it's very hard to it's kind of like how if I were to join an agency that is predominantly Japanese talent base, I would really have to crash course, try to get as much memorized for discussion dialogue as possible, and not rely on them to speak English to me. Even though Miki and Nico does try to speak English at times, I don't think she's well versed enough with the language to say I'm bilingual, because she does really have to search for her words when she's talking. Yeah, unless you're with, exactly. Unless you're with either one of those people, she's primarily on her own. And not to mention, some of the, there was kind of like the passing of the torch, or maybe even the, beginning of the eclipse, where Vizojo was losing relevancy when Nanners left. So, there's been a lot of big moves with that agency, and not, some of them were good, some of them not so much. But anyways, getting back to my trip, I finally got home, right, and I contacted all the airports that I went through where I could possibly dropped my wallet or had stolen or something like that, and for a couple days went by and absolutely nothing. And then I get a call from Delta Airlines early this morning, and they told me that one of their cleaning crews had found my wallet while they were cleaning out the airplane. But with all the traffic and everything that is going on during these last 2 weeks, they hadn't been able to call me until this morning. And so I asked her if she had the wallet in front of her, and she said yes. So I called out the things that should be in there. My identification, which credit cards were probably in there. A telltale sign is I also have a picture of my parents in there. And everything seemed to be accounted for. So they do have my wallet, but my wallet is in a completely different state, and that state is also cross country, because they the cleaning crew found it, but when they found it, they had already flown to a different airport. So it's sitting in a different airport administrative office, and of course it's not going to get mailed out until the 2nd of January. And let's assume that best case scenario that it gets to me in a timely manner. It's still going to be another week before I get my wallet back. So, well, yeah, here's the thing though. See, I made sure that I carry as little cash on me as possible, right? because if something like that were to happen, they would either have to like take my cards or try to use them. So, my with my cards, as soon as I realized my wallet was gone, I already froze all the cards on my account, and I told them that my wallet was lost. I want no activity with my cards until I figure out where they're at. And there was only a $20 bill in the wallet, and the $20 bill was still there. So unless they forged a $20 bill and swapped it, I don't believe they stole anything. Thank goodness. But the credit cards would be more targeted if they actually tried to steal anything out of there, because if you don't realize your wallet is gone, you don't freeze your account, they could automatically start charging anything and everything. And there hasn't been any activity with the cards, the debit cards, the ATM card, the credit cards, nothing. So I was kind of fortunate that it appears that the cleaning crew that found it had a lot of integrity enough to turn it in. And though that administrative personnel in turn called me, and I've been keeping an eye on my cards since my wallet had disappeared, and there has been no activity. 20 is still money, but I only carry a 20 on me because I figure that if I'm going to do connection flights or something like that, and I have a layover, that I might want to grab a small bite to eat or grab some something to drink. So I only carry a $20 bill on me, but that's it. After I spend that 20, or I can't buy anything with that 20, I would either need to swipe a card in order to pay for it, or I just don't have it. And I'd rather be able to lock my cards and only lose a $20 bill than carry like $1,000 worth of in cash on me, and then all of a sudden it's all gone. So everything can stay accounted for. I was kind of thinking that because I know that there are a lot of little different things you can wear and you can buy where you can keep all their essential items in that one spot. And I was thinking that would be something worth buying. So, and see, the thing of it is, since I have I have a medical implant in me, I can't go through their big scanner machines that they have. The technology could interfere with the implant I have, so I have to get hand searched and patted down, physically. So every time I go through airport security, they gotta pat me down, right? And then they scan you, and then they also do kind of like a touch thing where they take a pair of rubber gloves, and then they touch you all the way down to your feet, and then they do a sample off those gloves and test for explosives or gunpowder. And so I gotta go through that every single time, which is I don't mind, because I've been patted down before, and I've had worse body searches before. But it's one of those things where you gotta wait, and then they gotta call somebody up to come get you, and meanwhile your stuff's already gone through the scanner metal detector, and it's just kind of sitting there on the other side. So if you can't keep a line of sight with your stuff, someone could walk off with your stuff before you even get through airport security, because they make you wait to get a pat down, which ain't right, And I kept telling, the security TSA guy, I'm like, man, okay, if you're gonna keep me here for like 10 minutes for someone to do a pat down, at least let me go, walk around so I can stand with my stuff that has already been scanned, because my stuff is still sitting out there and I can't always see it. I'd like to make sure my stuff is secured and no one walks off with it. But they're like, no, you gotta wait. We can't just let you back there unless you have an agent with you. I'm like, well then, hurry the F up, because I don't want to sit here and have someone walk off with my Nintendo Switch or, my wallet, or with I was just naming all sorts of stuff out, and they kept me waiting for 10 minutes. Umberto, Happy New Year to you too, my friend. Thank you for dropping in. How have you been? Truth be told, I can't catch all the procedures. So I'm a boomer too. Yeah, well, I mean, when you have when you get older, you have the right to complain, So I was just sitting there complaining, but at least I got through, and they found my the airport security, and they let me in, and they finally did the pat down. But and I'm glad that at least the people that found my wallet were like I said, they seem to have integrity, and they seem to done the right thing and turned it in. They didn't take nothing. The downside to it is, once I get my wallet back, I'm still gonna have to cancel 2 of the cards and get them reissued, because they could have still taken a picture of the cards and then just put them back in the wallet. So I'm gonna have to cancel 2 of them and have a new number issued and new cards issued to me, so those wallets are no good, or those cards are no good. But at least because like it's hard to get a concealed weapons permit reissued, because you have to go through the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, BCI, and you have to refile for it, and the refile process itself takes upwards of 6 weeks just to get it returned from them. So but I would rather I'm glad that my card was found, because once I get it back, I can street legally wear my sidearm if I choose to. And let me be honest, with the way things are in some places of the country right now, I would carry I would definitely carry a firearm if I to make sure that nothing bad happens, because there's a lot of stuff that's been bad stuff that's been happening. Am I a hitman? No, but I do support self-defense, and I do carry a 9 on me. I got I got a SIG 9mm handgun that I carry with me, and then I also carry I also have a taser that I carry with me as well. Yeah, only in America. But I mean, let me tell you real quick. I have had run-ins with people that have escalated, and I have told them, I was like, you don't want this to escalate. Let's keep calm heads about this, because I mean, if it escalates and I start fearing for my life, you're not gonna have a good day. And you probably won't have you probably won't see tomorrow. Because I mean, I've had guys, that they were just mad because, my car was going faster than them. I'm like, well, get off your phone and pay attention to the road so you won't get past, But, I've had people get out of their car, and do the road rage thing, get out of their car, and then they start, dropping expletives, and, and they're, talking trash, but at the same time they're filming their road rage. So it's like, okay, so you're the one that's mad, you're the one that's getting out, you're the one that's being threatening, and I'm just sitting here trying to drive, But there's today, right? You could always carry a gun if you could. Yeah, well, I do carry. I do carry. I got 4 different 9mm. I got a 44, and in my state, it is legal for you to carry a rifle, so long as you don't have the ammunition in it, like you don't, and then your and the rifle chamber is in the unloaded position, so you can clearly see that there is no ammunition in the actual rifle. But I mean, I'm not going to carry my rifle around, unless unless Russia or China invade. I'm not going to carry my rifle around. But ATF is the ATF, BCI, and the every law enforcement office where I live already have my fingerprints. So I mean, they're more than welcome to. It's not like I'm gonna go around and start causing trouble with what I got. Like I said, everything I have is for self-defense, and the way things are, there's sometimes where I wonder if I'm gonna have to actually use them. But if I don't, at least I have them on hand in case something happens. That's a dumb law. What's the point of carrying an unloaded rifle? You won't have time to look. Well, yeah, exactly. It's it's a really it's a really kind of hypocritical law that allows you to open carry a rifle, but you can't have it loaded. It was kind of like a what do you call a compromise, because they needed so many votes in order to get through the state legislature. And they couldn't get a 2/3 majority unless the law stipulated that that your chamber had to be open and clearly visible, so people can tell that your rifle is unloaded. But in retrospect, you could also claim that that gives you the opportunity to carry your rifle, have it in plain sight, and then especially like if you're going to a gunsmith in order to get maintenance done on it, or if you're taking it to and from a store because you're trying to get accessories and attachments to it, stuff like that. So I mean, there's pluses and minuses to the law. The big thing for me is that as long as the law upholds my ability and my freedom to protect myself, that's what matters. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not gonna agree or disagree with that, but I will say you're pretty close. I will say that. I mean, it's not like I'm taking it on an airplane or anything like that, or trying to transport and sell or anything like that. It's because I have it for peace of mind and self-defense. I've had my rifle for 7-8 years, and it hasn't gone boom boom bang bang on a single person. So I mean, people say that GUN KILLS, people know it's people that do that. People, it's the person that's standing behind it that does that. So that's about as political as I'm gonna get on that topic. There are bad people out there, and as we've seen in 2023 with what's happened to me, with taking something I say and taking it out of context, and then running with it. There's bad people out there that will always, try to cause trouble. however, what if you have the means and capability to protect yourself, that's what counts, right? That's what matters. You can't allow people, you can't be a victim because of an oppressive government. If the government is impeding you from protecting yourself and from pulling away your rights, then I believe that's when you gotta fight back to that. So that's why when people ask me who am I gonna vote for, who do I stand behind, who do I back, whatever, it's the person that allows me that allows me the peace of mind that they are not going to take away my rights. Imagine musket at hey, I actually, it's kind of funny that you say that, because one of my former employers, he is a really big advocate and collector and stuff like that, and he has replica muskets that he has. He actually has the hand-loaded muskets from replicas from 1776. And then he also has the hand cannon variation, whatever they're called, from the pistols, from replica pistols, where you have to hand pack all the powder, the charge, put a fuse on there, light the fuse, all that stuff. He has that, and he has video on his Facebook account that of him actually doing it and shooting them off. It's pretty cool, but I wouldn't want to carry that around and just say, okay, hang on a second, hang on, I gotta prime my musket, hang on, okay. Oh, wait a minute, I just dropped. Where'd the ball go? Where'd the ball bearing go? Where'd the ball go? Oh, there it is. Okay, hang on. Let me put this in here. Okay, I gotta pack that down. Okay, I gotta make sure that the flint lock actually, hits the primer. Okay, hang on. It's staying right there. No, come about 10 feet closer. I couldn't deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Why does he need? It's not that he needs one. It's that he's a collector. He's a collector. Yeah, it's all wet. Yeah, it just rained and it's all wet. Okay, I can't fire this. Okay, we're gonna have to do this some other time. All right. He's a collector. He's a very big collector. He if you look at him, he looks like somebody that would probably exist in those Wild West movies, because he has the big burly curl mustache, and everything like that, and he's done different shows in and around the area where they do kind of those recreations of various time periods, either the Civil War or the independence and all the fighting that happened during the 1700s, or he even has 6-shooters, replica 6-shooters that look like they come from the Wild West, in the 1800s. Yeah, all those things. It's really cool. And he gets asked to go out to this place somewhere. I think it's Montana or South Dakota or something like that, where they have kind of a replica of what the Wild West looked like. And they ask him to be a part of their show out there sometimes. It's really cool. So that's your type. No, actually, my type. I don't know. That's kind of a tough question, because I do not. Well, you're asking. You said so. That's your type. What do you mean by that's your type? Because that type of question can be taken a couple of different ways. So, yeah, elaborate on that question there. Okay. Because I mean, like, if I were to take that like as in, that's the type of people I like hanging out with. I'm like, unlike most other people that are considered nerds or geeks or gamers and all that stuff. But like I've talked to a lot like different women that are like really big into guns and stuff like that. But I mean, like if you're talking about women, I can't picture myself with like an outdoors type person because I'm an indoor type person. I'm like why do you want to go and have vacation in the elements when there's a nice hotel like 50 miles away from where you're staying at a campsite, and I'm like that with guys too, where there are guys like, hey, we're gonna go camping over at blank blank blank, and I'm like, why do you want to go camping out there and rough it when there's a nice hotel like just a little bit away from there? You could still go enjoy nature during the day, but then go sleep at a hotel at night. That's the type of person I am. Yeah, big burly bearded women are great. Well, let me be honest with you, okay? If I had to choose between like a very self-centered, high-maintenance woman or a big burly bearded woman that she can cook, we have the same interests, and I can run with her, keep up with her as like, hey, let's have a night in of playing an online game or something like that. I might pick the big burly woman, especially if she can cook. I mean, because I'll be frank with you, a lot of women are like, they want somebody who can provide them with security, both by feeling secure and then also financially secure. They want and of course then they want somebody else who looks good, right? But on the flip side, and I don't think this is chauvinistic, even though a lot of people try to label it chauvinistic, but one of my top things is like, if she can cook, you automatically have a higher percentage of an opinion from me than somebody who can't cook. Because if you can cook, that means you have one of the facets that it takes to take care of yourself, right? Rather than always having to eat out or order out and all that other stuff. Because if especially if you buy food that is all you gotta do is heat up and you put it in a microwave or something, I mean, that food is just loaded with sodium, right? And it's loaded with sodium so it can keep while it's frozen, so it doesn't spoil nearly as much. But if you're constantly eating food like that, and you're not eating fresh food or food that you cook on your own, all that sodium's going to give you high blood pressure. It's gonna, that food is going to make your cholesterol go up. You're going to start having problems in the future, which means that you're going to need to have either the stability of somebody who can take care of you, or the stability to be able to afford the medication to live, continue to live a quote unquote healthy life. And I'm already, kind of at beyond that kind of a prospect, because I have to, take a lot of stuff to take care of myself, to keep myself together. I can't afford to I can't afford to take care of another person that is also having all these health issues because she can't take care of herself, right? Yep, I go for Android like Miku. Hey, I honestly think, with some of the technology that I've seen lately, that's coming out of Japan and China and Taiwan, I honestly think that, we are going to start seeing, especially with like AI development, right now, the AI development community is actually it's not as advanced as they're trying to make it sound right now, and it's still in its infancy stage, because at like 90% of what AI tells us by chat GBT and Bard and a lot of these other AI systems, their algorithms are completely maintained by humans, and they sit there literally clicking on okay, this was the question. Did the AI answer correctly? And if not, how should it have answered correctly? So, and you have people literally sitting there going through tens of thousands of inquiries en masse, just verifying whether or not the AI had answered the question correctly. Right? But I do think that within if Moore's law, the law that states that technology will double, or I think it's either double or square in growth every so many years. If that law maintains itself and technology keeps improving, AI is going to really be coming to its own probably within the next decade. And you might end up having something that is similar to the old anime chobits, where people are walking around with androids that are completely autonomous, and act like humans. That's not to say that I always kind of laugh where when I see all these articles from the rags like the Daily Star, where they're saying, these sex dolls are gonna be walking and talking and do your bidding within the next 5-10 years and stuff like that. And they've been saying that now for well over a decade, and it still hasn't happened yet. And it's I don't think AI is gonna get to that point yet where that is actually a thing, for at least maybe another 50 years if we're lucky. And by that time, I'm gonna be so old that I'm not gonna care about that stuff anymore. Oreo, welcome. Happy New Year, my friend. Thank you for dropping in. Like fusion power, it's always coming within the next. Well, yeah, and here's the thing. With fusion has, the biggest hurdle with fusion is the same thing that they're running into with quantum computing. It's that it generates so much heat, and you have to have so much within the either the reaction or within quantum computing. It's almost impossible to keep it cool enough to run efficiently without literally having some kind of injection of some substance in order to keep it cold, and keep the temperature down. Because I mean, what's the point of having a quantum CPU, that runs at 300 degrees and it melts the motherboard and all the other process, all the other circuitry that it's supposed to run, right? So that's why you don't see quantum computing outside of huge laboratories, because you have to keep it cold somehow. And that's the same thing with like fusion power and with a lot of other type things. I mean, that's why people are so worried about like nuclear power plants, because of the meltdown probability, and then also the amount of waste that it makes. It's just not efficient in order to run those places. So but I do think like things like quantum computing and maybe even like biocomputing, where you plug in, those things are slowly coming on the horizons. There have been a couple of successful attempts already where people have been able to plug in using a cable to an implant that is connected to their brain, and control a cybernetic hand on the other side of the world, across the Atlantic Ocean from Europe. So I mean, that with that kind of possibility, I think there is definitely something to be said that we could probably start plugging in to the internet within the next 20 years. But then that kind of makes a whole new set of problems, because what are the safeguards going to be for plugging into the internet like that? Does that mean someone can hack your brain, or drop a virus into your brain and start commanding you to do whatever it is that they want to? I mean, what are the safeguards here? And it's the same thing with with AI coming about. There are so many variables and unknowns that come about that it really makes you kind of think, I mean, should we be playing around with this kind of thing? Because I honestly look at AI with a little bit of skepticism, because AI, the moment that AI starts actually thinking for itself, humanity is going to pay for that in one way or the other. And it's either going to be that AI takes over, all of the priority things that in life, and we have no say in anything that happens above a certain tangent that AI is controlling, and you can't do anything about, because you're going against the greater will of what the computer says, or it's gonna turn everything that we've made against us. And that's kind of the scary part, because you need there is no actual kill switch on the internet, unless you dig deep down into the internet service providers and shut them off. I mean, you literally got to shut down Google itself in order to affect a major portion of the internet. And it's the same like when Twitter was bought out by Elon Musk. There was so much stuff that was happening behind the scenes that it was shutting down the majority of the way that you communicate with Twitter. Luckily Twitter isn't big enough to be controlling actual portions of the internet, and it was contained only to themselves. But like when Google has a major outage, it affects almost the entire world, and that's kind of scary when you think about it. So just imagine if Google's AI becomes self-aware, it's able to learn enough through machine processing that it becomes self-aware, and then Google starts like actually telling you what it wants you to hear. I mean, that in itself is kind of a scary concept. rather than yeah, well, the Google algorithm, is there, and there was a documentary on that not too long ago. The Google algorithm is self monitoring, and and it definitely applies a blanket, um, a blanket level of control over videos and live streams and stuff like that. But there is a team of actual people whose entire job is to sit there and look one by one through the algorithm, and if the algorithm kicks out a video that says that it's not conforming to their terms and of service and conditions and community guidelines, they have to look at the video and either check mark yes, the algorithm was correct, or no, it was not correct. And then there's another team that goes through all the videos that the algorithm has approved, and if it approved the video that is against what the algorithm is supposed to sort out, they have to flag that video manually and then check mark exactly why it went against the rules. So, and there are sets of people that do that, and the scary part of the entire thing is they're making those people work for literally for peanuts, because they could sit there for like 8 hours and they'll only make like maybe $18 for 8 hours worth of work. And there are people out there that literally sit here and do that. This thing where they work for less than the minimum wage, and those people are actually the ones that are feeling the algorithm based upon the guidelines that Google and YouTube put forth, that the algorithm is supposed to conform us content creators to. And it's extremely scary because despite the fact that the algorithm already filters people videos out, they can be filtered out even further through the hand picking of whether or not somebody thinks that you are against the rules. And once they flag you, then you have to go through the entire appeals process. I mean, it's just like when my channel got blackballed, and they literally shut my channel down because people like mass flagged all of my videos, saying it was either like hate speech or that I was promoting porn and all this other stuff. I had to go back and I literally had to spell out Google's or YouTube's own terms of service and community guidelines and say, I did not break any of these things that you put forth. Give me my channel back. It took a couple of days to get my channel back, and I mean, and this is a channel that, I mean, I barely have 700 subscribers, so, and unless I cover a very controversial or very hot topic, it's not like I get a lot of traffic to my channel anyways. So it's, I mean, there's nothing for me to actually be blackballed on, because I barely do enough as is to warrant that kind of thing. But that's the kind of mess I had to go through. This is a day job, YouTube hero program. Well, and that's just it, because when you get when you actually get that kind of job with YouTube, you don't know that you're working for YouTube. You're actually you actually sign on to a shell corporation or a shell company, and they tell you absolutely nothing. You're basically being hired as a content curator or a content moderator, and you're signing on with a shell company name. And it's not until you get into orientation do they tell you you're working for Google now, you're working for YouTube now, but you cannot disclose that. They say if we find out that you've disclosed you're actually working for us or actually working for YouTube, you're fired. That's one of the first things they tell you day one. And then you go through like a 6 weeks orientation where they have sample videos and of ones that they like and don't like, or what they want and what they don't want, and then you have to get 100% of correct flagging of content before they allow you to work on your own. But even when you work on your own, they are constantly monitoring you, the curator that is supposed to be curating the algorithm that is supposed to be automated. So the algorithm itself is not actually, it doesn't run completely independent. I mean, there's still a huge amount of people that are handling all the videos that are coming through, and yeah, the algorithm, I mean, there's not enough people to look at every single video that gets published every day. But based upon what their sample size is, they'll go out and say, okay, today we are looking at videos that are flagged for sex, or videos that are flagged for hate speech, or videos that are flagged for X, Y, and Z. They'll every day. They take a sample and you spend 8 hours looking within that sample window of whatever topic it is to ensure that the algorithm is working correctly, and if it's not, why it does or doesn't need to be flagged, or why it was represented as whatever. Most clippers got demonetized too. Well, yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, if you look at like why they get demonetized, a lot of them are basically being demonetized because they're not they're not actually publishing original content, right? And then also with the way Cover Corporation is currently running, any likeness that is getting monetized of Hololive, the Clippers are getting 100% of the profit for them being monetized, and they're profiting off of Hololive, which is owned by Cover, and all the characters, all the talent, the characters, and everything else is considered their legal trademark and legal right to get the proceeds for it. So they either have a choice of doing the clipping and having a significant portion of their profit or monetization being given straight to Hololive, or you demonetize yourself, and that way nobody gets anything. And if you if you continue to want it to be part of, like, to get a monetization of it, you're gonna have to deal with either having somebody file the takedown policy, with the takedown policy, because you're using a registered trademark and patented picture, or likeness or character or voice work or whatever that is not your own. And that's where it gets into that very slippery slope of, okay, well, I'm clipping, and I'm translating because this was not translated, so that's considered an original work. Well, the translation may be considered original work, but the video and the likeness and the voices aren't. They belong to Hololive. So, that's where you get into that very slippery slope. You have to actually get the justification of fair use. And that's a really tough battle to have. By the way, off topic, what... hang on. What do you think about Big Sister? Honestly, I want the character. I've been logging into Genshin off and on. But and I'm so far behind in the storyline that there are characters that I don't even know who they are anymore. But I've been saving all my primos, and just kind of logging in to find out, if if there's somebody I can roll for. I kind of look and see, okay, how much further can I actually, do I actually have to go before I can actually, level them up and do something with the character that's productive? Because like right now, I have a Dendro character, a 5-star Dendro character, but I am just getting to that portion of the game, so I haven't been able to get her above I think like level 40 or 50. And then I also rolled and got the one with the top hat. So I've been mostly focused on Honkai Star Rail because I've been able to keep up with everything on that, and I've gotten quite a few characters. I was glad that Blade got a rerun because I was in desperate need of having a wind character, and I did actually spend the rest of my primos and was also able to get a pyro character, and then I also got off my 500th roll, I was able to get Bronya as well. So I'm kind of set in that game, and I've been able to keep up on that game, but I haven't been able to get every caught up on Genshin yet, which I really should be doing. I've actually thought about spending some time and just streaming that as well, so I can get back into things and then just kind of stream where I'm at in Genshin and work on the story and stuff. But I have to give that a little bit of thought, because I kind of I really want to get back into Genshin and see what the where the story has gone, because a lot of people have talked very highly of it, and I have the characters and I have the teams in order to get through most of that stuff, to get caught up. But I guess with me being on vacation and working on a lot of other stuff, with personally, I just haven't had the time. What is she anyways? Navia is what Oh, she's Geo. Oh, wow. I don't have. I have. I have two. Actually, I have 3 Geo characters, but I wonder how. Wow. And I actually think I have all the um all the weapon. You see, I don't have the verdict, you know, because that's on her banner, but I do have the Wolf's gravestone. And see, I haven't made it to the part yet where I could farm her best artifact either, because I have no idea what that artifact does. Normal and charge attack damage plus 15, 4-piece. When current HP increases or decreases, crit rate will be increased by 12%. Stacks 3 to. Oh wow, that's actually pretty nice. Yeah, I gotta get caught up on that because I have not made it to whatever domain that is that you can farm it from. I mean, I am perfectly content with the teams I got since I have I have Zhongli and oh gosh, I got Zhongli, I got Ganyu, I got Hu Tao. And then the 4th person I always run, either kind of depends, but sometimes I go like double ice and run Eula or the other 5-star ice. See, and that's just it. I've spent I'm not gonna hide the fact that I've spent this much, but I actually spent about 800 on Genshin, so I mean I really don't have the excuse of not playing, but I really should, you know. All right, Calvin, you take care. Thank you for dropping in. You're gonna love the Archon quest. See, I just said I've seen a lot of the Archon quest. Why am I peeking? I've seen a lot of people talk about the Archon quest, you know, just kind of jumping in and out of various, you know, threads from people that I know that play it. But I just, you know, with all the stuff that has gone on the last couple of months, I just have not had the opportunity to play. But yeah, here's what I was actually thinking. You know, for this coming year, for 2024, I do want to try to get on a little bit of a schedule, like I was working on doing. Before I had to take my hiatus. Damn, and here I'm never gonna spend a penny on the game. I spent the most. Okay, so. Here's my Genshin confession, okay? This is my Genshin confession time, alright? So, I spent the most amount of money on the game when Ganyu came out, and then when Hu Tao came out. Those were 2, I have to have characters. And it's because I completely fell in love with Ganyu, as you know, her character, her aesthetic and character when she came out. And I was able to pull her, and I got her up to, I think, Ascension 2 or 3, and then I also pulled her best bow from the regular banner of all things. Not the character banner, but her regular banner. And Hu Tao, so Here's my thing with Hutao. All right. What was this? Oh yeah, Tectone. Big Twitch streamer Tectone. Mr. I don't have a gambling or a gotcha problem, but dropped like $1,000 to like $1,200 just trying to get one staff of Homa. Before they implemented the limits that they currently have. And I sat there and was laughing my brain off. I was just so like taken back on how desperate he was. He spent $1,200 to get one staff of Homa, right? And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna spend $200. And that was my limit. I was like, I'm gonna spend $200 on Hutao, and I'm gonna pull Hutao, and I'm gonna pull Staff of Homa, and once I get those, I'm gonna try to get her up to like Ascension 3, right? So I got her to Ascension 3 with 144 pulls, and I got my Staff of Homa. Right? So I'm just laughing, after I did that, because Tecton was like that, X-Sliced was like that. They spent $800, $1,000, $1,200, whatever, and I'm sitting here and I spent $200, right? I spent $200 and I got her, to Ascension 3 and to my Staff of Homa. And if I would have kept going to get her to Ascension 6, yeah, it would have cost me more. But just the very minimum that to compare to Tectone, I was able to pull. I got Eula without spending money. I did spend money on Zhongli, but I only bumped him to Ascension 1. I did spend money on Raiden, because I wanted Raiden really bad, because I loved her aesthetic. And I pulled her and I got her to Ascension 1. I didn't roll on her weapon. Which I kind of regret, but I kind of don't, because she has that free 4-star weapon that she comes with. Tectone is a gambler. I mean, he is a gambler. He has a gambling habit like crazy, and I just I just look at the amount of money that he spends, and I'm like, if I was his wife, I would have left him by now. But I mean, obviously he does somehow manage to at least break even or keep a profit going with all the money he's spending. But I also think that since he's one of the largest Genshin creators on Twitch, I kind of also have the sneaky suspicion that Hoyo does like line his pockets a little bit with free pulls. I've seen it before where content creators, if they get enough traffic on a certain game, that the company does give them like free perks, and that they don't, they may spend some money, but they don't spend like all the money that they use for their polls. But that's just my opinion, and that's just what I've seen, But yeah. I've spent a good amount of money on that game. I really should jump back into it. Cause I also got a little bit bored with it because I had hit end game, and I wasn't at the time that was kind of like the glass ceiling, and so I was kind of like, I want to play something else. But I mean, I have literally gotten to end game on Star Rail. And with Star Rail, I'm not gonna lie, I did drop a 20 on the game just so I could get over that hump and get Bronya and make sure that I got Blade. But that's other than the battle passes, I do buy into the battle passes because to me the battle pass is kind of like the replacement for a subscription based service. So I do drop the money on the battle pass, but that's about it now. I don't. Oh man. I mean, if I was monetized and I was getting money on my channel, and I could make it so like however much is super chatted or donated, I would match it. That's what I would do. The Cool 2T, how's it going? Happy New Year, my friend. Thank you for dropping in. I'm glad to see that you're around as well. Welcome. We got on the topic of Genshin Impact, so I was kind of talking about how much money I've spent on the game. If you're not a big spender, yeah, I am. And I'll be honest, I've dialed back a lot on how much I spend, right? Because I want to have enough to go around. So, there are content creators that are just starting out that either use alternate services because they are not monetized yet on YouTube. So that they have a Fanbox account, or they have a Donru account or something like that, right? And even once they become monetized, I would rather put my money towards them if I find them welcoming, friendly, that they like to interact. I enjoy my interaction with them. They're playing games I want to see people play, or I'm able to interact with them. Those types of things. That there are a lot of content creators that I put that kind of money towards them now, and I don't spend money, or at least I don't spend as much money on people who have made it big. I hate to admit it, but like Fuamoko, for example, I love those girls from the bottom of my heart. I got to see them go from, having a channel that barely had 10,000, 15,000 subscribers, and now, they're breaking that 600,000 mark and everything. I mean, I looked at analytics just to see how much of a difference that they're making on it monetarily, and oh my god. Those girls, considering that they stream like literally every single day, they're doing at least one stream every day, if not two. I mean, they are literally, they are the definition of a hard worker. Okay? But I'm not going to drop, an Aka spot on them, because, at any given day, there's at least 5 guys that are dropping Aka spots on them, if not more, or they're dropping $20 subscription gifts out at a time, right? So I know they're being taken care of, and I know that they are that they are they're getting that revenue, and there's not a fear there of them being shut down because they're not bringing in enough, right? So I'm not, I'll gladly buy a monthly or a membership subscription to their channel, that $4.99, that's fine. But I'm not gonna sit there and send them Maka spas at a time, because I mean there are other people out there who are independent, or they're just starting out, and I would like to at least try to donate money to them to help them get off the ground and hopefully successful. Just like Fuamoko. I spent a lot of time on their streams and dropped them as much money as I could, when they were independent and they were able to make it. So that's kind of where I want to put my money. And people don't really get that. I mean, especially like if they're hardcore hardcore fans of Hololive or whatever, that just because I don't spend $50, $100 at a time on a specific person doesn't mean that I don't like them. Doesn't mean I'm not their fan. I mean, I casually spend at least $60 a month on Noel from Hololive. All right, and that's because I want to see like what she's doing outside of Hololive. So some of that money is on her alternate accounts. Same thing with Rika. Rika and Mel are that's her alternative name out there. And I spend like $15 a month because I want to see what she's doing outside of Hololive. And let me be frank, Mel outside of Hololive, she wears and cosplays some of the cutest outfits I've seen, but I enjoy listening to them both. But then then there's also the other side where I'm kind of curious how far Covercore is gonna allow their talent to take things when they are doing something outside of Hololive, but yet they are still this. It's that alternate identity is still the person that is talent under their contract. Well, let me let me say this about Mel. Let me say this. Sorry, I'm just shutting down my. I'm sorry. I am getting. I'm getting messages on my deal that. Why is this? So the interesting about Mel is she, as say-so as she tries to make herself, there's a there's a come on close. There we go. Okay. So Mel is definitely more say-so than now than she used to be. I mean, how can I put this? Okay, so Mel outside of Hololive, she is. When Mel performs on her alt account outside of Hololive, the current iteration of her character is extremely say-so. And when she does, you know, push the boundary, so to speak. It's very much like, you know, the quote unquote girlfriend experience. All right. You know, that sounds like, you know, that, like, you know, she's being lovey-dovey, that, you know, maybe making out with you, whispering sweet nothings into your ear, so on and so forth, right? Now, there was a point, and I checked the timestamp, so I know this to be true, and I also have copies of those live broadcasts. There was a point where Mel was at the line between rated R and, you know, maybe like rated X. And she was doing this while she was under contract with Hololive. And honestly, when I saw these archived videos, I was extremely shocked that she would go that far, or that she had gone that far, you know, either before or after she was contracted with Cover. I'm not going to say like they were like, you know, pornographic per se, but they were definitely like, you know, skirting the line between R15 and R18. You know, what that would be their version of like a rating system, or like an American version, it would be like between rated R and rated X. But at some point, she stopped doing those types of videos. And I think part of the reason why was, you know, the platform that she was using began changing some of their rules, so she could not perform certain things that she was using as part of her presentation. And then she also started changing the way that she presented herself in video, where now it's more just like, you know, showing off her cosplay, more of like, you know, sitting in various positions with her cosplay, whereas before, what she was wearing was part of the presentation that she was doing that would cause it to be like R15, R18. That's not to say that Mel is a bad person or a bad girl or anything like that, because I believe that she isn't. In fact, I've sent her a couple of emails that she didn't respond back, but she immediately changed what I was pointing out to her. So I know that she saw my emails, where you know, she misspelled something in English on her, you know, on one of her pages, or, you know, what she was trying to say wasn't what she actually put up there. So, you know, I did send her, you know, emails like, hey, you know, you need to change this so it sounds correct, or, you know, this is misspelled and stuff like that. But I don't, you know, I don't believe that she is a bad person, you know. Now, like, it, you know, if you compare her current content, or even her older content, if you take her older content and compare it to like what Noelle is doing on her alt account, Mel is definitely more say so than Noelle. However, you know, I mean, to each their own. That is their prerogative, that you know, that's the way they want to, you know, market themselves. That you know, that's, you know, for them to decide. That's not for me to judge or, you know, shake my finger at. However, I do, again, I do follow Noel's antics outside of Hololive, because I am interested to see how far the cover will allow a talent to go bottom right before they tell them, you know, you either need to choose between Hololive or the content that you're doing. I do see a little bit of hypocrisy coming up with you know, how some of the Hololive girls, you know, conduct themselves outside of Hololive, because, and what I mean by hypocrisy is, you know, as far as what the company is trying to present and the people that they're trying to push in front of people, in front of their, you know, in front of their market, versus like what the girls are actually doing. and I'm trying to choose my words carefully, because let's be honest, okay? Let's all be honest with ourselves here. You know, Yago has his AKB48. You know, at the end of 2023, Hololive has successfully climbed that mountain to become the idol group that he always envisioned. Now, the idol group that he currently has does not conduct themselves like how AKB48 conducts themselves. You know, they have to be, you know, say so. They have to, you know, maintain a certain level of purity, you know, with their actions, as well as what they say and what they do in front of a camera, right? But if you look at what they're doing and what Yago is doing, it's completely different. You know, what they present and what they allow to be said on company time is definitely in a completely different league than what the typical idol mentality you know, puts forth with how they conduct themselves. That it's a wider thing than what, you know, what they do and what AKB48 does, and what the whole idol you know, industrial complex what they put forth as, you know, what an idol should be, you know, and it really shows just how they want to play both sides of the fence, and it's kind of sad, to be honest, because like, if I, you know, and I've been looking at many different people, VTubers, both independent and otherwise, you know, just to see what VTubers are out there that maybe I could interact with, either like, you know, just, yeah, you know, interact with them, you know, with the collaboration, or, you know, say, hey, I'm a English VTuber as well, and chat with them like I chat with several of the Japanese VTubers, and there's none out there that really click with how I present myself, and how you know, how a VTuber can be without constantly swearing or dropping different dirty jokes, or, you know, it makes me cringe. to hear an English VTuber, especially if she's female. It really it makes me cringe when, you know, within 5 minutes she has, you know, dropped 20 F-bombs, or, you know, it's just constantly swearing. I mean, I get that. I mean, even I swear from time to time, right? And you won't see me denying that. However, I do recognize that 99.99999% of what I present can be done so without dropping F-bombs or swearing or doing any of those types of things, right? But you can't really find that in, you know, a lot of other English VTubers, because it seems like the majority of them just don't care, right? And people, you know, still call them say so and whatnot. But I mean, to me, that's really not how the traditional. If you want to call yourself an idol, you know, if you want to act like you are an idol, you know, that you gotta actually act like one, right? Sorry, cat came in the room. But I mean, that's just my opinion. But like, if you look like at Fuamoko again, you know, probably one of the only like big name, you know, people out there currently that try not to swear in their streams. You know, I mean, they are literally like one of the only people out there that do that. And I admire that. And that's why, again, I think that they are extremely hard workers, because they are the epitome of what a person can be if, you know, if they try for it. And they're doing it all without like being raunchy, you know, or like or acting like they are, sorry to say it, but you know, some VTubers, and I'm not saying like Call Live or anyone specific, but a lot of VTubers are extremely lewd, and they are not, and that's not who they're, you know, they are trying to be something that they're not. They're being lewd and perverse, but yet still saying that they are living at, you know, acting like it, you know, you gotta treat me like an idol. Well, okay, so do I treat you like a porn star idol, or do I treat you like, you know, what an idol is supposed to be? Because you're, you know, a lot of them are just playing out pornographic with how they talk. You know, I think they, what they call them before, shit posters. I mean, that's basically what they are, you know. And, you know, people, I mean, Gura even said it at one point, you can't hate me because I'm cute. Well, you may act like you're cute, you may talk like you're cute, your character may look like you're cute, but that means absolutely nothing if what comes out of your mouth is so pornographic that, you know, you don't need to draw a picture because what you're saying is, you know, is something that vivid. You know, that's not, to me, that's not an idol. And, you know, if that is what is this generation's idol and idling, or whatever you want to call it, I mean, that's going to spell the end of what VTuber idols, you know, ought to be. Yeah, she's a celebrity now. She's basically a celebrity. She's not an idol. You know, I mean, and there's a definite difference between that. They just follow for fans. I feel guilty too. Well, you know, I mean, I get that, you know, in order to, if you go hardcore, like, uh, hit the ground running type of, if you really want to turn being a VTuber into a business, if you want your income to come out of it, if you and you want to strive for popularity, or online cred, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I get that you are going to claw and do just about anything just to get noticed and get people to like you, or get people to subscribe, or turn into you. I get that. I understand why some of the actions are taken, because they think that they need to act that way in order to get more people to pay attention to them. However, I really question whether or not you want to be that way by selling out your integrity and your and your standards just to get popular. Because just like Gura tried so hard to be say so for so long, and then she dropped that her original song, Reflections. And if you read the content, if you read the lyrics of Reflections, she basically spells out that the entire time that she since she debuted as Gura, she was living a lie, and that what she was presenting was not a true reflection of who she was, and that she was tired of trying to cover up and do what everyone thought that she was, and she wanted to be more true to herself. That's why and it's exactly why Reflections was the point where she said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I am not as say-so as people believe me to be or want me to be. This is who I am. And after that, she literally decided, hey, you know what, I'm gonna be who I am, and if you're gonna like me, you're gonna like me. If you don't, just move on. That's basically what she said. She understands that that VTuberism is Well, it is extremely oversaturated now. I mean, it's never been as saturated as it is right now. But I do think that's getting curbed a bit, because there's so much going on in VTuber in the VTuber world that you really got to question if you're going to spend the amount of time and money just getting a model created, because it is literally an investment. If you don't already have the equipment for it, you gotta buy the equipment for it, and then you also gotta buy the model for it. I mean, and models, the price of models has definitely not gone down. It's only continued to where it has been, or it gets higher. Especially as they move Live 2D into a more, a more interactive experience, and not just as someone that can wave hi or blink or their mouth move. That having all the moving parts involved in that is cost animators and illustrators more money, so you naturally have to take more time with it as well. So all the artists that I know of, or that I've talked to over the last couple of years, they say their backlog it hasn't gone down. So there is a demand for it still, for people who are buying the models are wanting illustrations for it. However, to jump into it right now, you really need a hook in order to make VTuber profitable for you. And you absolutely gotta think, do I really want to drop, $2,000, $3,000 on a computer and all the things that go with it to be a VTuber? Or should I just, stream like a live streamer? I mean, it's cheaper. It doesn't mean that you're gonna get as much attention. And your target population is definitely different, but I mean, it's a cheaper way of getting in and streaming than being a VTuber. You can't look out like me and only drop $60 for a model like I did, and manage to get that model as interactive as mine is. I mean, I kind of lucked out on mine, but my model is also one of those things where it's not a once created model, or I don't own the rights to it, so to speak, since I didn't draw it. But the likeness that is tied to my name, so if I ever decide to move on from it, I would have to go to a completely different illustrator, because I don't think mine's even putting up live 2D models anymore. But I'm comfortable with the way my model is. Let's see here. I just want to support them. I don't care if they call my name or what. Well, a lot of people, they want that interaction with the VTuber. I mean, that's one of the big reasons why people drop money on them, is so they actually get the VTuber's attention. But I mean, and I'm going to use this purely as an example. Before I went on my trip, I used my I used my free monthly membership super chat to wish Roboco a Merry Christmas, and I typed it in Japanese, so it would be easier for her to understand. And I basically said, I'm sorry if for the poor wording of my Japanese. I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I'll be traveling during Christmas, so I will not be able to see you. However, I wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, right? And I sent that, and as you watch and replay the live stream, she pauses after that super chat goes through, and she actually smiles and says Merry Christmas, and it completely did not fit the moment that she was in, because I can't remember which game she was playing, but it you could tell that it was not in response to the what she was playing, because it did not fit the moment. And just the fact that she wished me a Merry Christmas was like, she's my favorite. I'm not gonna lie, she's my favorite Hololive girl ever, right? I will not have, even Fuamoko does not compare to her, right? And I love those two girls, right? I mean, those two girls, I absolutely adore. But Roboco, I absolutely, I could fan over her, but I don't, because how I picture her and what she means to me as a VTuber, is something that I can't describe. She has, she has, interacted with me several times throughout the years. I'm not saying that like I have her undivided attention. I'm not saying that, I have a relationship with her. However, the interactions that she has had with me are special because those were times when I introduced her, to my mom, to what VTuber was, and I used Roboco as an example. I've sent her messages, thanking her for, providing me and my mom, moments of happiness and comfort while she was, in her last days, and she has responded to those either just, by liking them or saying something, during the stream. And that means something to me, because those are precious moments I had, not just with, saying, oh, I had this moment with Roboco. No, there were moments I had with, my mother that, was able to be memorable because what she did and what she does on a daily basis brings me, and she brought me and my mom happiness and joy and peace, and so I enjoy her for what she's doing and what she is and what she's been trying to achieve over the last couple of years. So, but I mean, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I fan over like I fan over this VTuber because her model's so hot, or this is the way she acts, or whatever, and there's a lot of superficialism within how they fan over somebody. But being able to get these little peeks inside of what kind of person they are by the way they respond to things that are happening within their fans' lives means a lot more. I mean, look at Kiara, for example. Kiara's had several people throughout the last few years tell her, this is what's going on in my life. I have cancer, or I am extremely sick because of COVID or whatever. And Kiara has actually gotten to the point where she's crying over them because what they're saying and how much they spent. They're like, you don't need to do this. You're here. You find me entertaining. That's enough. You don't need to spend that kind of money on me just because I'm your Oshi or whatever. She actually and people are like, oh, they're lying, they're just probably telling you a big fat lie. And she's like, I don't care, because right now, if that person's out there and that person actually is going through this, I want them to know that I will try my best in order to make them happy every day, or every time I stream it or they watch. I mean, you don't get people like that doing that, right? Because most people are like, they'll say, oh, don't spend more than you can afford. Don't spend money on me that would go to your groceries or whatever. But a lot of them are kind of obligated to say that because either they're working for a company or an agency, and that agency needs to put up a good image, or they say that because they don't want to look like that they're being greedy, or that they want a lot of money coming out of this because they want to be popular and famous. But when you get somebody who says that, and they actually they pour their heart and soul into it and say, you know what, I mean, and this is what I kind of wish that YouTube would have, where you could actually, as a content creator, gift memberships out to specific people. I kind of wish YouTube would be able to build that into their system, because there are a lot of people out there who like me, who are hurting in life, who are going through a lot of stress, or they're going through a lot of personal problems and stuff like that. and some people even with health issues, they actually are able to make that, connection in that moment with that creator, which means more to me and gives them more credibility, in my opinion, than somebody who's like, oh, I feel sorry for you, I hope you get better, and then they move on. You know what I'm saying? Is VTubing a lie? Look, I'm not gonna say VTubing is a lie. However, I will say that there's a lot of people who are very two-faced with, how they are, who they are, versus what they are, actually like. And to me, it's really sad that that they're like that, because there's a, and this is where that line starts getting really shady. It's because you have people who are like, this is who I am, that I mean, I am so and so, this is what I do, what you see is what you get. But on the flip side, how they actually are in real life is betrayed by the way that they act, because once you start seeing the cracks in their persona, they are not, they are very different than how they present themselves, and you start seeing that more and more and more with people who are very fallacious in their statements, and and you start seeing just how weak that persona actually is, especially if it's too good to be true. If their persona is too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. They're not like that. However, there are people that continuously reinforce their integrity by being kind and honest, and even at some points generous towards their fans. I mean, look at how much and this is another difference between the Japanese way of doing things versus the English speakers. I mean, the English speaking audience, or VTubers, especially in Hololive, they actually have full streams dedicated to reading one by one what their akaspas are, or what their super chats are, and you don't get that as much with the Japanese VTubers. And now that's not to say that the Japanese VTubers are not humble and have a lot of gratitude towards the people that shoot them super chats. It's that's the kind of care and handling that they have with their fan base. And you see a lot more with the Japanese side of things, that they tend to spend more and give a lot more towards who they're trying to connect with, because that's what gets their attention. All right. Now, I'm not saying that they're greedy and ungrateful. I am not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that you tend to see that if you spend more on when you're trying to get the Japanese VTubers' attention, they tend to recognize that more than like on the English side, where there are times where they spend 2, 4, 5 hours just going through all their super chats. Now, I will say, like Roboco and Mel especially, and Subaru, you'll see them at the end of their streams spend another 2 hours or 3 hours going through their super chats, and that's because they want to make sure that everybody that watches them feels welcomed, and they appreciate that, and that's why I always go back to those Japanese VTubers that are that are famous, because they try to at least acknowledge when somebody says something to them, because they realize that every super chat, there's an emotion and feeling and a person on the other side of it. And that's when you really start recognizing how much they want to dedicate themselves to the fan base that they have, and that they appreciate. Even like Coroni, I know Coroni tries to, Coroni tries to recognize people as they super chat, but I mean, obviously, with her popularity, there's just too much going on for her to recognize everyone, unless it's at the end. I treat them as an entertainer, not a therapist. Well, they are definitely, they're definitely not somebody that can help solve your problems. And I'm not calling Roboco and the rest of them. I'm not saying that they're what they do is therapeutic. And there is a definite difference between what their presentation being therapeutic versus them actually helping me solve my problems. And that's where people tend to not really draw the line or bring realization into their brains. You can watch anybody, or you can read anything, and if it helps you mentally, that's therapeutic, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You don't even have to buy into the illusion that that she's not really a robot, or that Mel isn't really a vampire, or Marin isn't really a pirate captain. You'll even need to buy into the image or the character, or the lore even. If watching them makes you happy or makes you content, if it helps you, have a good morning, whatever, it's therapeutic, that there's a big difference. Now, if you turn on to them to solely rely on solving your problems, that's when it starts getting problematic. And that's where I've always tried to draw the line with me. And at times, I've even stumbled over the line I drew myself, where I started, almost depending on other people that were VTubers, and I had to really catch myself, doing those things, because if you allow that kind of mentality to become to take up residence in your mind palace, what happens is, as soon as that illusion gets broken, or something happens, and that part of your life is no longer there, then you start having all sorts of other problems. And unfortunately, like for me, when Hoshino, decided to give up VTubing, that was kind of like one of the detrimental blow to me mentally, and it was because I built her into like my schedule, and because I built her into my schedule, once she was gone and what was no longer there, my life felt like there was something wrong. And unfortunately, that was a mistake that I made, and I'm not saying that my entire relationship with her was a mistake, because it wasn't, and I still care for her deeply, and if she does come back, I would welcome her. And I would not hold her, taking care of real life, I would not hold that against her. However, I do also want, have to say that, you do have to be careful when, you choose to make somebody, mean more than just be entertainment in your life. And I think that's kind of where, that line for me got blurred, because she wasn't just entertainment. We talked, we talked offline. We sent, private messages to each other. We actually had, conversations going, those types of things. And then, stress, as well as, economic issues and everything else got in the way, and she couldn't dedicate any more time to being a VTuber, and it's sad. Better late than never. Welcome to the chat. Happy New Year. Thank you for dropping in. VTubing is like artists in the WWE. VTubing can definitely be like WWE, where you have your scripts and you have, I really wish that VTubers or VTubing would be kind of more like WWE, especially like with Hall Life, because then they would actually bother to actually utilize their lore instead of going further away from it. Oh my gosh, I did not even recognize Choco Sensei when she did her collaboration with Roboco in that horror game they played a few days ago. I didn't know who it was. I thought it was Aki Rose. And no, it was Choco Sensei. I'm like, okay, where did your horns go? Why are you suddenly dressed like you're going to prom? I was like, who are you again? I mean, like, I just kind of wish, like, like how Mori, for the longest time would like curl back, curve back everything she was doing back into being like a Grim Reaper assistant. She really like kept the lore going there for quite a while, and then suddenly it was like, nah, I'm just a street thug that happens to also be a nerd and a gamer, and then it kind of just went bleh from there. And I mean I and I hate to pick on Mori, because I absolutely adore her, and she was I'll be truthful. I mean, her first couple albums, people criticized her first couple or her first couple of songs, and that she dropped, and her EP that she dropped. A lot of people criticized her for those. But I gotta be honest, she actually stopped me from her creative talents. I'm not saying her personally, but her creative talents actually did stop me from doing something that would not have been reversible, in my life, and she got me thinking, there has to be more to life than what I was going through, right? And that's really how, like, a lot of these ladies, through various interactions and things that were going on, brought me to the realization, hey, if I want to enjoy what they're doing to its fullest, I need to get myself better, right? And you can do that and still not be my therapist, because what they're doing, it could be therapeutic in more ways than one. There are lots of different ways you can take their content, and either it be because of because you enjoy it, or that you enjoy their singing, or you enjoy the games that they're watching, or you enjoy the fact, that they are there almost every single day, and and you can laugh along with them, you can laugh at them, laugh with them, you can be freaked out at the same time as them, you can watch movies with them. There's so many different things, and that's all something that can help you find some joy in your life. And that's what's that's the ultimate thing, is that they're bringing happiness to you. So, and I don't find that fake. However, you do have to be careful with the people that carry that double standard, and they live or die by that double standard. I think the things that Narissa and Shori have said to Gura can relax a little. Honestly, I haven't seen the interaction between those two, but I do know that I do know that like Fuamoko is like the exception to that entire generation, and the rest of that generation are pretty much like they're almost like they're almost like Degeneration X. I mean, that's the way I look at them, unfortunately. At least you got noticed, and that's what matters. Yeah, what I find most relaxing about especially Mel and Roboco specifically. What I find reassuring from both of them is they when they see my name pop up in super chats or even regular chat, I'm not sure if they're singling myself out specifically in regular chat, but I do know that like when I use the super chat option, or even make comments to them on their videos or live streams or in their membership section, they do seem to read what I say, and they don't seem to just say, oh, this person is back, I know they spend money on me, so I gotta reassure them that I'm here, or they'll cancel their membership and not send me more money, type thing. I found it very, 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 very I find it very coincidental. Okay, and I'm gonna give them, and this is kind of like my soapbox victory kind of celebration thing right here. I do find it very coincidental that after the whole thing happened with 4chan and Reddit and Twitter, dumping on me with all this crap that they were doing, I find it very coincidental that I made the comment that Roboco hadn't done anything in her membership section, and I made the comment specifically, she used to put up desktop wallpapers and wallpapers for cell phones and so on and so forth. She hadn't done that in months and everything else. And then not even 2 days after I made that comment, 2 days, out of nowhere, suddenly her manager puts in the membership section, a wallpaper, for members to download. And it's like, okay, so I guess they are actually reading what is going on. And then I started thinking, if let's say it's even the manager that read it and Roboco wasn't the one that read it. I also made the comment that, you know, even if I am looking at Roboco like just a fan, you know, that their manager has an obligation, as Roboco is a public figure, to, you know, let us know what's going on, especially when she said she had got picked up by an ambulance and was going to the hospital. That was it. There is an obligation there as a public figure, because you're suddenly turning your entire fan base worried that something happened to you, right? And then her manager posted a follow-up, you know, within like a day or two of that whole, pardon my French, but that whole shitstorm, right? And then to take things even one step further, Roboco started putting updates on her alternate Twitter or X account, whatever you want to call it, that damn thing now. She started posting updates that she was, you know, getting better, that she, you know, wasn't strong enough to stream yet. When she did finally, you know, come back, she made a comeback stream, thanking people for being patient, and that she was sorry for making people worry, but she wasn't going to stream as much until she made a full recovery. And then, you know, she was posting more and more updates, and she hadn't done that prior to that whole shitstorm. I find it very ironic that she didn't, that, you know, it wasn't until that shitstorm happened that she started posting more stuff on her alt account. And it was almost like she had read, you know, some of what was said and what was going back and forth. Now, I'm not saying that I was the cause of that, but I will say that that entire shitstorm that happened, somebody had to have saw something for those two things to happen. You know, and I'm not saying that you know, I'm not taking credit for that, but I do know that if that kind of argument was happening with just me, what could possibly have been happening with a lot of other people who were concerned about her had to have affected them in some fashion for them to start doing that. Because Roboco was still not in any condition to be a presenter or broadcasting or streaming when she started responding, because she was still very, very sick. But all I gotta say is that, you know, I'm extremely grateful that she started doing, you know, she started at least letting us know she was okay. Because honestly, you know, as the one person that out of everyone whole life, if I could ever meet in person, it would be her. You know, as somebody who really admires her, you know, I would hate for something to happen to her health wise or any other way that would cause her to suddenly just drop off the face of the earth, you know? Yeah. I always find myself in the middle of trouble, and it kind of like, you know, it in some aspect I do feel like, you know, I should, you know, keep my mouth shut, but there's times where I can't not say something, you know. It's hard to reply, especially when there's a lot of viewers, like 10K. Yeah, it is extremely hard to like actually get noticed. And you know, especially when your chat is going by at Mach 10, you know, and that's why, you know, a lot of people resort to doing super chats, you know, even if it's just to say something that they want them to see, because, you know, when you have 100 people in your chat all going at once, you know, it's hard to keep up. Well, even when that entire, situation came up, and I went live. I had 15, 20 people in chat, and they were all. I put a 1 minute timer on it, cooldown timer on it, and even then, there were so many people coming in and out. I mean, I never kept up with what was being said, because you see one thing, you want to talk about it or comment on it, and then by the time you finish commenting on it, like at least 100 more chat lines have gone through. So Roboco pausing your Aka spell and wishing you is a small blessing. To me, it was. I mean, just that she read it and that she said that to me. I mean, I kind of teared up, because I mean, for me, Christmas has always been about family, about my being with my mother and father for as a family, and that dynamic is no longer there. However, my favorite person out there saw what I said and wished me a Merry Christmas. I mean, that was definitely special for me. Let's see here. Target audience. Yeah, I guess giving an appropriate reply is a must for VTuber. It really is, because you're trying to push an image, and you are doing that with a crowd that tends to be a little judgmental. And that's kind of why a lot of times you see VTubers really carefully picking out their words. But Marko is really a wolf, right? Sometimes no comment. Does LaPlus still stay in character? I don't know. Because I haven't really watched much of her since all the other girls. And this is another thing that I'm finding kind of rough with Hololive in general. They continuously add so many different talents that it's literally impossible to stay up with every single talent that they have now. It's almost like they are, and this is going to be a crude analogy, but it's almost like they're tossing out as many nets as possible so they can try to, grab quantity. And the problem with that is when you overfish, an already strained population, your return on investments start shrinking. They haven't crowded out the other talent agencies out there. However, I do think that the stronger talent agencies are the ones that are best ran by leaders that understand what's happening within the industry itself, are the ones that have survived, and because we're seeing a lot. I mean, there's a lot of agencies that folded in 2023. I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, some of them I didn't even know about until I saw that they folded. But there's a lot of agencies that have gone under because their talent has either been poached by other agencies, or their return on investment was just not profitable enough to warrant that company running what was basically an experimental situation. So it Hololive seems to be really good at poaching, especially from either other agencies or from the independent section. However, you're not really they haven't really diversified as well as what they could have. 2023, this physical year, they've succeeded in many ways of expanding their English reach. However, they have their venture into the English market has been severely hampered by them not necessarily being able to get the type of collaborations with other not agencies, but other companies to say, hey, let's use Hololive as your spokesperson for this particular product, and they honestly they're probably going to continue to have that problem for quite a while, and unless they've dedicated somebody to actually work on that issue and cross the line. And you're still going to see more and more stuff that they do with the Japanese side of talent being, spokespeople or, whatever, for specific products that, businesses put out. I wish they'd talk a little bit like eating Mike Tyson's ass and laugh. Yeah, that meme is what made a lot of people famous as well. Especially like when you had all the responses from Ian and then of course Coroni. I think eating Mike Tyson's ass really loved Coroni because of all her reactions. There really hasn't been a meme-worthy thing in 2023 that people have latched onto. I think it was probably 2022 where one of the girls they went at AFK. Well, actually, I think they all went AFK. There was 2 or 3 of them as a collaboration, and they came back, and they had never seen the blue super chats, for representing their idol meeting, and they were like, "What's with all the blue super chats?" And the other one goes, "Oh, I think that this was something started by the English audience, representing, us coin body, and they're like, oh, that's interesting, and they had never seen it before, and so I don't think anything really like that happened in 2023. Gatekeeper is real. Now you just want confirmation if Roboco is following. You just want a confirmation if Roboco is following her schedule or not. Well, Roboco, and here's one of the other things. This is, if I had one complaint about Roboco, if I had one complaint, and this is literally the only complaint I have about her, is that she never puts up a schedule. The last schedule she put up was like months ago, I think, and then after that she always puts up her streams. It seems like she always puts them up at the last minute, and I think that's one of the reasons why, her growth tends to stagnate and come in spurts, because you never quite know when she's going to be streaming, and I only assume that it could be because of her health or because of her offline schedule, be it with dealing with different things with Hololive, or I know a lot of them still like try to work a part-time job, outside of streaming. So maybe it's that. I don't know, but uh, it's her routine has definitely like been interrupted because before she got sick, she would stream every morning for an hour, and then and a lot of she got into the habit of streaming while she was making breakfast, and she would do a Twitter live stream doing that, and then she would hop on YouTube and take pictures of what she made, and put the pictures up, and then she would eat while she was talking, with chat, and that was always kind of like everyone stops and eats with her type thing. So which was really really kind of fun because she would ask, what are you guys eating, and people were listing off what they were eating and stuff like that, and it was kind of like you're all around sitting together eating breakfast or supper, wherever the case may be with her, but then that really stopped after she got sick, and then I hate to say this, but starting January, we're probably going to see a lot of the girls spending less time streaming, even more than what they're doing now, because they'll have to get ready for the next festival that is happening in March. And so that means practice. They'll have they all will have routines and practice that they'll have to do. They'll have to go to dance practice. They'll have to do voice coaching. They'll have to do dance coaching. There's just going to be a lot of things that they're going to be doing. So we're probably going to see less of them than we do now. And that, I think that was probably my other complaint with Hololive, was that they are focusing so much on the offline aspect, and they're actually limiting the amount of time that most talents spend online playing games or interacting with their chat. That it kind of feels like they're pulling away from what they originally had made them successful. And that's why you see the girls playing a lot of games that only last an hour or two, because they have been limiting them with the amount of gameplay that they play, and if they have to ask for permission to play longer games online. That's why you see a lot of the girls that are in the gamers generation, even they are being restricted somewhat, unless they make plans ahead of time with their manager to get the okay to play a longer game. To me, it's kind of sad, but and I also see the logic in it, because they are really trying to build up like the festival and the the concert type of things that they're doing, and you also in the background, and this is another thing that we'll really have to watch for and see how they build it up. Hollow Earth is slowly becoming a reality, but whether or not it becomes a successful reality, or what kind of presentation it is really gonna be interesting to see, because you can go on Hollow Earth now, and they have a limited amount of items that you can use to build an avatar, right? But I mean, when you build an avatar with the current build of Hollow Earth, it's really, 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 really generic. it is nowhere close to what you would expect or want to be like a representation of yourself. But at least that they have put that thing in there, so we're not just running around as an MC. You get to run around as an avatar that's supposed to represent yourself. But whether or not the rest of the world is going to be as lively and vibrant as we hope or want it to be, that's kind of remains to be seen. Because there's just a lot of things that the team that they have, I don't believe that that they have enough people to build what they're trying to build. So, all right, well, we are just crossing midnight my time in my time zone, so I wish everybody a very happy New Year. If it's already New Year's in where you currently live, I hope you have a great 2014. If you are like me and you're just cresting the time zone difference, happy New Year, happy 2024 to everybody. Let's all hope that this coming year I can continue to build a channel that promotes a positive environment, promotes a channel that, despite the fact that we do tend to cover a lot of controversial or breaking news content on my channel, we do try our best to allow the opportunity to have all sides presented, and then you take away whatever you feel is the truth. Let's see, Shinoda, the cool 2T, Calvin, better late than never, Oreo. Let's see, anybody else? Well, I want to thank you guys for dropping in tonight and for your subscription for the past year, and for hanging out with me with everything that I've been doing. It has been a tumultuous last year, so let's hope that this coming year will be have less turmoil. But of course, if things happen within HoloLive, or major news announcements happen in the VTuber sphere itself, I will definitely try my best to go live, and we can talk about what's going on. Make sure that we separate fact from rumor or hearsay. Happy New Year, my friend. Happy New Year, everybody. Especially you guys that may be lurking that haven't said anything. Happy New Year to you guys as well. I don't want to forget anybody who always drops in and never says anything. Yeah, remember, the Hollow Earth is slated to drop in 2024. They did not specify whether or not it was physical year 2024, or if they mean by the end of this year, December 2024. If it drops in the physical year of 2024, that would be anywhere from April 1st through December 31st of this year. So we can expect the game, hopefully the 1.0 version, to drop somewhere in between. Otherwise, perhaps they'll even have an open beta before then. From I think the last time I logged in, there was basically what open beta is right now is what they currently have live at this moment, but there is no indication that they have expanded their server loads or anything else like that. So, you know, we'll keep an eye on it. I ate at a diner, and the old waitress still remembered that what I ordered years ago. Big Niji Sanji shakeups in 2023. Yeah, there was also a lot of stuff that happened in 2023 for Niji, and I think it's been for the better in my honest opinion, because I always felt that Niji was extremely they were kind of like Vizojo in many ways, where it was like decentralized. So it, you know, and because it was decentralized, it didn't really feel properly managed. But I think that, you know, after their, you know, quote unquote reorganization and, you know, the unfortunate release of several talents, I think that they'll probably be able to better run the you know, the group itself, because you gotta bear in mind as well, you know, there's a real big possibility that Hololive will the Hololive's public shares will match Niji's by the end of March. Last time I looked, you know, they had gotten their market shares up to 2/3 of what Niji was, and they were still climbing. Actually, let's see here. Where are you at? Yeah, so right now, let's see here. And this is what they're gonna focus on, and this is also probably the biggest reason why we'll see that they'll be pushing their festival in March. Let's see. Oops, I don't want to open up that. Chrome. Open. Close. Oops, don't want to open up that. Chrome. There you go. So here is what I'm talking about. Let me move out of the way here. So I follow a bunch of different stocks, you know, for the hell of it. It's not like I'm an investor or anything like that. If you look on the screen here, any color is that their market share is at 3,100 yen, and in just 1 year. Now, mind you, Cover hasn't even gotten 1 year on the books yet, and Cover Corporation is already at 2,700. So they're only 400 yen, which is basically like, you know, $2 to $4 depending on market share. They'll likely catch up to Any Color as a publicly traded company by March, especially if they really push for their festival here in March. They'll go screaming past Any Color. So it's something that you really got to you know, pay attention to, and that's why they're likely going to be focused, you know, laser focused on their upcoming festival coming up in March, because remember that their festival, their annual festival is at the end of their company's fiscal year. And they went public, I believe it was like 2 days into their festival, and they went public with their market shares. So if they want to continue that push and that success, and show that they are a company that is continuously bringing in more profit, they're going to be really, really, really hyped up on this coming festival. So just to give you some perspective of where they are compared to other publicly traded companies, and especially with their main competitor, Anycolor. So in the meantime, though, I'll be working on a bit of a schedule, just to kind of plan out my days and stuff like that, and see whether or not I can make a schedule that I'll stick to. There's plenty of stuff that I would like to do online, and once I feel like I'm in a better place now, so I can start streaming again, start talking to people, and everything like that. So I'm not sure if I'm going to put up an actual schedule, but I do think that I'm going to try to adhere more to like a streaming schedule, at least with like what games I play on which days, and whether I'm going to do it like a regular chat thing, or talk about different stuff. It is kind of all depends. But I do want to continue with a lot of the things that I had been doing, and talk about things like Hall Live and Cover Cores, market shares versus their competitors, and talk about some of the other dynamics in VTuber as well. And there are some projects I put on hold that I'm starting to feel like perhaps I could start working on them so I can finish them, rather than let them sit in limbo like I had been. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm gonna try to ease my way back into this, so I don't stress myself out, and take on more than I can handle. But I really appreciate all you guys that have hung out with me for the last year, the last couple years. Yeah, believe it or not, it's actually let's see here. Yeah, this month will make I believe like 3 years since I've actually started streaming. So yeah, it's I don't ever do like an annual celebration for it or not, but I mean, I'm not big enough to do an annual celebration for it, but I do appreciate everyone that drops in and out. I appreciate you guys' input, and guys, let's work towards a good 2024. Try to stay positive. Thank you for always having my back, even when we don't agree. I appreciate the fact that you guys come in and can feel comfortable with disagreeing with me, so I can give you my perspective, and you can give me your perspective, and at least meet halfway, knowing that each of us have a different perspective. So they invest a lot, like Hollow City and the Giant sponsorship cover is going big. Yeah, they are definitely going big. They're swinging for the fences. So and honestly, if you haven't already seen, they have I think almost all the girls have already played the Hollow Parade game, and if you I don't know if you guys have seen, but Hall Live is even doing kind of like an independent developer program where they're using Hollow Parade as a pilot project, where they have an independent developer make a game using Hololive assets, including like voice clips and stuff like that. And and if they're successful selling on Steam, and the developer is able to keep up with the game and make additions and stuff like that, they're looking to actually expand on that kind of pilot project for independent game developers. So that's one of the main reasons why the girls had they all played that Hollow Parade, and they all kind of like really pushed it a lot, because unlike Hollow Cure, Hollow Cure was independent as well, but they didn't exactly start off as a pilot project for independent development. That was something that was independently made and then caught the attention of Cover and Hololive. But it's really interesting, and it's some fun times to really keep an eye on things, because they are swinging big, and they're pretty much trying to put their name up there with being the next Disney or the next Netflix, or the next big thing that people like really you almost have to have. And if they are able to if they're able to get what they want done by the end of this coming year, there's practically going to be no ceiling for them at that point. So let's keep an eye on things. I am really looking forward to March, because March they'll have to release their annual stockholder report, their annual physical report for 2023 going into 2024. And since they're publicly traded, that's going to be a publicly viewable document. We'll be able to see exactly what kind of growth that they are actually having, and it will be something really, really fun to cover once that's released. So all right, in the meantime, guys, I am going to go. Thank you so much for dropping in. If you made it this far, and I really appreciate you. If you've come in at halfway, thank you for coming in halfway. I appreciate everyone that comes in and talks to me, or at least hangs out with me, because it really I'm not somebody who really enjoys being in the spotlight to begin with, but this is kind of one of those things that helps me get over that shyness. So all right, guys, have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever the case may be. Happy New Year. Let's have a great 2024 together. Hey, and if we hit more bumps in the road in the VTuber universe, hey, let's get through it together, so we can maintain and be stronger than just thinking that the sky is falling. All right, you guys take care. Until then, this is Marko Yamashita signing off. Peace.